Hey guys, welcome to dailyfantasycafe.com. I'm Rob Mozaika and I'm here with Jason Gilbo. And we're here to talk about the NFL target and touches report in week 4. Week 3, very interesting week in the DFS world. It was a very low scoring week if you wanted to cash. I think 110 on FanDuel was cashing in most tournaments, which is very low. You had some guys where we've missed on, like Higgins, who everyone was on. Everyone missed on that. But then we had the AJ Green chalk where we all knew he was going to go off, and he did anyway. But week 4, we got some interesting situations that we want to look at. And we're going to start right in with the Cincinnati Bengals running game. This game's 40 over-under, and the Bengals are 3.5-point away favorites. And they have a new offensive coordinator in Bill Lazor. So I want you to clear this up for us on what this is going to be for the team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's finally Joe Mixon time. It was dicey throughout week 1 and 2 in terms of touches. He had 21 total touches over the first 2 weeks. And then Green Bay in the overtime loss, he had 21 touches just solely in week 3 alone. He's caught all 7 of his targets. I think that's fairly impressive. He's going to get some work in the passing game, so I don't think Bernard's going to really steal it. Jeremy Hill's basically out of the picture. You look at the touches. I mean, Mixon averaging 14 on the season now. I project him over 20 touches this week. I think 23, 24 is a good estimate for him. Mixon outsnapped Hill by 20 snaps, outsnapped Bernard by 21. It's pretty clear he's going to be the guy this week. He's only 5,600 on FanDuel. He's 5,700 on DK. Cleveland, I mean, front 7, that's been kind of on and off this year. For me, I mean, he just stands out if you want to pay up elsewhere. If you want to still get a top-end running back and still want to get a top-end wide receiver, pay up for Brady, I think Mixon's a guy you can look to use this week.
I think this is Mixon's backfield for the season at this point. I know Bernard got the touchdown last week, but I think with this new offensive coordinator, they're going to really try to implement Mixon and AJ Green to his offense more. Mixon, he had 21 touches last week. That's double what he had the week before. I think this is just going to be a continuing instance of Mixon just being the bell cow back for the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, super talented. This is a good spot for him, and he's going to be up in price pretty soon, so get him while he's cheap.
Yep, and then next we're going to move on to another team, their running game, the Philadelphia Eagles. Darren Sproles, he had the unfortunate injury. I'm pretty sure he tore his ACL and broke his arm on the same play, which was just brutal to watch. But the game is set at a 47.5 total, and they're 1-point underdogs. I just want you to clear up on what this is going to mean going forward with Sproles out of the picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit split. I mean, LeGarrette Blount was a guy who, barely even played week 2. I think he had 1 target. He didn't even have a rushing attempt. It was a lot of Wendell Smallwood, a lot of Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles, obviously, he's a guy who gets a lot of work out of the backfield in terms of passing. Smallwood's probably going to pick up some of that slack. For the meantime, I don't think I'm diving in a lot this week, but this is kind of a sneaky spot. Chargers have given up 412 rushing yards throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. I think Smallwood has a small edge over on Blunt in terms of touches, but I think the snaps are going to be pretty much split. I don't think we're going to see a ton of upside between the two moving forward. I mean, I don't think they're an immediate week 4 play, but I think this is a situation that we want to keep an eye on. I like Smallwood actually to kind of evolve as the season goes on, but I think Blunt's going to still get a lot of goal line work, obviously, and might kind of see more consistent touches than he did over the first 3 weeks.
I like Smallwood also. We saw last year he had a couple games where he had 3 to 5 targets. I think that's a good range for him with the Sproles injury. I'm kind of curious on who's going to return to kicks now for the Eagles since Sproles going to be out and you won't be able to get that double dip with the Sproles Eagles defense anymore. But Blunt, he's more of a traditional just ground and pound running back. He doesn't get a lot of involvement in the passing game. So I think Smallwood is definitely the person to look at moving forward. I'm not sure on FanDuel. You really don't need to go there on FanDuel just because their pricing is fairly soft and it's half PPR. But on DraftKings, where he's 3,800, I mean, I wouldn't argue against using him in a couple, maybe millionaire-maker lineups. But outside of that, he's just really not a guy that's going to win you a tournament this week unless he gets a long touchdown.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like when you have Mixon at 5,600 on FanDuel, there's no need to kind of go that route. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, he saw, Smallwood 57% of the snaps last week. That was the highest of any affiliate back. So it's not going to be a lot for upside. I don't think Corey Clement, even though he got the touchdown last week, is going to get a ton of touches moving forward, maybe a couple, probably less than 5.5 this week.
Yeah, that's for sure. And now we're going to move on to the other side of that game. The Los Angeles Chargers playing at the StubHub Center where 25,000 people supposedly should be there. But they're 1-point favorites against the Eagles in a 47.5-point total. Philip Rivers, their quarterback, he's always played well at home. And he has a ton of options where he could throw to. You got Allen, Gates, Gordon, Benjamin, Henry, Williams, and then there's even more. But I just wanted to clear up on who's going to get these targets this week.
Well, we definitely know Keenan Allen's the guy in this lineup that we can just kind of count on for week to week in terms of 9 to 10 targets, averaging 9.6 so far this season. He's averaging 10.3 yards per catch. Obviously, he struggled against Kansas City. This whole entire passing offense did. Keenan Allen's the clear-cut number one. The price has obviously gone up. I think after these guys, though, outside of Melvin Gordon, I think they're a little bit useless. Antonio Gates, he's not much use in between the 20s. He's more of a red zone guy. He's not going to get you, more than 10, FanDuel points or 10 DK points. He's just not an upside guy. Hunter Henry, he's been out there a little bit, but he's not running a ton of routes. He's been used for blocking. He's only had 7 targets on the season, and outside of that, he got 0 in week 1 and week 2. So for the most part, I think Melvin Gordon is still the guy. He's, averaged 5.3 targets. He's worked well in the passing game. It looks like he's going to escape an injury. So I don't think you can really go with guys like Benjamin or Tyrell Williams, who are just kind of, not big end zone guys right now. They're getting about 5-6 targets per game. Benjamin, I think, looks a little bit more useful in this passing game than Tyrell Williams does right now. But, it's not really saying a whole lot.
I agree. I think for me, it's really Keenan Allen or pretty much just stay away for the most part. It's really tough to figure out which receiver is going to get out, even the tight end or running back is going to get a lot of targets in this Chargers offense because they treat it – it's like the Patriots and the Saints. There's just so many mouths to feed on his offense. Allen's going to get his consistent, 7 to 10 targets every game at least. And what's his upside, though? Like, how often do you see him get 2 touchdowns in a game? And at 7,300 on FanDuel, I don't know if I can go there. But on DraftKings with the full PPR and the 100-yard bonus, he's definitely viable.
Yeah, the PPR score makes a huge difference. And, like you said, New England, a little bit different given the fact that Brady's out there tossing 10 touchdowns a game. But, Phillip Rivers, there's only 2-3 touchdowns that kind of go around with this offense. But, yeah, Allen's the guy. I just don't think we can really trust anyone else outside of him and Gordon, but Gordon's kind of a different animal at running back.
And now we're going to move on to one of the better passing games of last week. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however we look at it, though, they weren't on the main slate, but the Jacksonville Jaguars passing game and Blake Bortles throwing 3 touchdowns to Mercedes Lewis is just what we all expected to happen in London. So is that going to happen again?
No way. Obviously we look at this matchup against the Jets. They're coming off basically a near shutout against Miami, something that we didn't expect either. This is definitely a game where Jacksonville's going to go in and probably run still a ton, but it's pretty clear who the targets are going to. It's Allen Hurns, it's Marquise Lee. I like Marquise Lee actually a lot. Look at what he's done this year. The targets have gone up for him since Robinson's gone down. He's seen 19 targets. He's had 23 altogether. Hurns is a bigger red zone guy. He's 6'3", 205, where Lee's more of a guy who has to stretch the field to get that touchdown at 6', 195. And I think Leonard Fournette's kind of a sneaky PPR guy because he's actually had some decent targets. He's had 3, 5, and 4 targets this season. He's had 15-plus rushing attempts per game. So Fournette's kind of tack on about 3 to 4 DK points just solely off receiving yards, even though he hasn't really been that efficient on the ground. And he continues to find the end zone. So I think that's just kind of an overlooked aspect. Like you said, Mercedes Lewis, 3 touchdowns last week. This is a guy who's just solely used for blocking. It was kind of a game plan thing. Saw on Twitter that was a smart play of Jacksonville to kind of go that route. It's not going to be an every week thing or even a every other week thing.
Yeah, the total in this game, it's 39.5 right now. So, I don't know how much exposure I'm going to have to anyone in this game. I really like Leonard Fournette as a tournament play, though, especially on FanDuel. He's 7,700. We all saw the Jets blow away the Dolphins last week when Jay Ajayi was the chalk against them. This Jets defense, especially their run defense, it is probably hands down bottom 3 in the league. Like Fournette, he's going to get the touches to hopefully he could break a long run. We've seen him do it in college. He gets 17 to 20 touches in a game just by running, and then he gets at least 4 or 5 targets every game too. So he's just a guy where the volume is going to be there, 7,700. Not going to be high owned, especially after last week, and because no one wants to play guys in a game that has a 39.5 total, and it's because of the Jags. But I like Fournette as a tournament play for sure.
Yeah, I like Fournette a lot. He's going to be a cash game guy for me, I think, as an RB2, just depending on what my lineup construction goes. It's still early in the week. I don't know. Ownership might be a little bit higher. Obviously, Ajayi left a lot of sour, in people's mouths. But I don't know. He might come in a little bit just because if people are going other directions. And there's not a ton at cheap running backs. So I think people are going to be paying up for like Fournette and McCoy and Zeke and stuff like that.
That's true. It just depends on what your build is going to be of, especially when you're going to be paying up for guys like AJ Green this week.
Yeah.
But that's just going to wrap it up for us this week. Go on dailyfantasycafe.com, check out our optimizer, check out our articles, our other tools. We have a lot of stuff over there for you guys to play around with. So for Rob Mozaika and Jason Gilbo, good luck, guys.